Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. Boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. Hey, look, everybody out there, please subscribe to the channel, but hold your horses. Don't take it to the stupid. Triple G couldn't hurt Canelo. So my question is, how is Terence Crawford going to do it? That's all I'm asking. Now, for the Terence Crawford fans out there, look, don't do a drive-by on my crib. I'm just having a conversation. Terence Crawford is special. He's a bad boy. And I personally think, well, we know he's not getting back down to 140. He sure as hell ain't going nowhere near 135. And he's taking everything it has in him to just get down to 147. But I'd say from 140, 154, maybe up to 160. Be kind of hard for me to sit there and go against Terence Crawford, especially 147 to 154 for sure. It'd be hard for me to say that there's someone out there who I think would beat him. I'm not saying he won't be in a competitive fight, but I think around 147, 154, that's kind of the sweet spot for Terence Crawford. But when we start talking about 160, 168, you know, we gotta be realistic. Because Triple G, right? Forget the third fight between Canelo and Triple G. That doesn't count. Triple G was old. People avoided that man for years. Triple G could not get the fights with the big names because people were so afraid of him. The way Max Kellerman put it when they were on HBO, there's a monster in the division. And that's how people saw Triple G. And what I'm telling you isn't my opinion. That's exactly what was going on. But Canelo did get in the ring with Triple G when Triple G was a monster. Now, it doesn't matter if you agree with how that fight went. Win, lose, draw. First two fights. That's not what I'm here to talk about. It's the fact that Triple G could not dent Canelo's chin. Now, with a monster puncher like Triple G, who couldn't dent Canelo's chin, right? How do you figure Terence Crawford is going to be able to dent Canelo's chin? That's all I'm getting at. We know Terence Crawford can crack. We know Terence Crawford is strong. We know Terence Crawford is athletic. I, like you all, we've seen the videos of Terence Crawford lifting weights. We've seen the videos of Terence Crawford wrestling. Hell, there was another video posted the other day. Terence Crawford threw like a goddamn 300-yard touchdown. We know Terence Crawford is basically, he should be the AB, athletic bastard. Because there's something special about Terence Crawford. So don't don't come out here raking me across the coals in the comments saying you want Terence Crawford to lose. No. What I'm saying, my thing is a conversation about what is it that Terence Crawford has done to make you think that he can really bubble up to 168 and do something Triple G wasn't able to do? Because Canelo's chin was not dented. And I'm going to tell you this. Canelo and Triple G, they were going back and forth. And Canelo hit Triple G with some hard shots. He didn't put a dent in Triple G's chin either. Those two stood their ground. They let go of some hard shots, and they went to work. But let's understand though. There's weight division for a reason, and I see some people out here, they don't even want to entertain reality. You're gonna take Terence Crawford and just throw him in the ring with a guy like Canelo, and expect him to do something Triple G couldn't do? Now, I do think Terence Crawford, we talk about skill. I mean, when we start talking about skill, I think we got to be careful how we approach that conversation to say Terence Crawford is more skilled than Gennady Golovkin. Skilled with what? Inside fighting? Skilled with what? Cutting the ring off? Breaking the fighter down? Or are we talking about floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee, and highly effective counterpunching and pinpoint accuracy? You see, so that's a very broad a discussion area. Skill. I think it depends on what you're looking at. Now, if we're talking about Terence Crawford being able to get in the ring with Canelo, maybe move more effectively than Charlo, get in the ring and look to let his hands go more than Charlo, get in the ring and realize, okay, I got hit with a hard shot. I need to be careful and be very strategic attacking him, but I'm going to attack no matter what comes back my way. Because the bottom line is, man, Canelo Alvarez, this isn't my opinion, these are the opinions of a lot of boxing experts. They feel Canelo Alvarez fighting Terence Crawford, that Canelo Alvarez will sink Terence Crawford's battleship. And there's a reason why people feel that way. Now, I do think that Terence Crawford, depending on how the fight goes, I think Terence Crawford can make that fight interesting. I do. And I'm going to tell you right now, I want Terence Crawford to get the opportunity. I really want him to get that opportunity because I think it sucks that this man had the biggest win of his career. They still won't get this man credit. But at the end of the day, in order for Terence Crawford to be able to move and stick and to think he can, at some point, hit Canelo with something he doesn't see, well, Crawford's going to have to increase his punch output because when you look at Bivol throwing over 60 punches around, that's kind of what it took to keep Canelo off of him. And even Bivol landed some clean shots on Canelo. And Canelo just kept on coming. And he ended up on the ropes and he ended up backpedaling a few times because Canelo's not stupid. But Canelo was essentially, he was there trying to win, but he had to be very smart because he was in there with a guy who was bigger, stronger, and overall just, I think, a more complete fighter who used his jab well and understood his size advantage, used his reach, used his legs to win that fight. So when we talk about Bivol, okay, Bivol was able to do it, but let's just look at a few things. Bivol's like 6'1", Crawford's like 5'8", 5'9". You know what? Let's give him 5'11". He's still not the same height as Bivol. Crawford has very long arms, but his arms aren't as long as Bivol's. Crawford doesn't throw 60 punches around. You understand? Crawford's not a guy who's looking to get up on his toes and box and move around the ring like that. He's not floating like a butterfly. Crawford's an alien. He's just an athlete, man. But it's just hard for me to sit here, as much as I like Crawford, and say Crawford coming up 3 weight divisions can replicate what someone like Bivol did and can replicate something that Triple G was able to do across 3 fights with Canelo, which is keep Canelo honest. But at the same time, Triple G was not able to put a dent in Canelo's chin, and Bivol was not able to. And let me tell you something, if you can't hurt Canelo, if you don't give him something to worry about, he is going to sit there and do to you what he did to Jermell Charlo. And I think Crawford, in my opinion, would be in a little deep. And if he can't hurt Canelo, which I think Crawford could end up getting in trouble, you gotta pay attention to Canelo and that his defense. Everything with Canelo, man, it's hard to get in on Canelo with that high guard and the chin tucked down. He's got that thick neck, man. He works a lot on his neck, on his defense, and being able, if he has to take a shot. He fought Ryder. Ryder's so much bigger than Canelo. Canelo broke the man's face, you know what I'm saying? Broke his nose, banged him up. But then Ryder caught Canelo with some shots. Canelo just took him and just kept coming forward. So you're talking about Ryder. Ryder walks around, reportedly, like 198. Crawford's in there fighting this guy who's way bigger than him. Because Canelo's not really a 168-pounder. And he's in there handling basically cruiserweights. So now we're supposed to sit here and just think that, Terence Crawford is going to be able to do what Triple G wasn't able to do at Bivol. Because what I'm hearing, the people saying Bud's going to knock out Canelo. I just can't. I can't sit here and give a prescriptive analysis of Crawford if he was to fight Canelo. That would be the outcome. Because when you sit there and try to describe what Crawford brings to the table and what he does, and trying to sit there and apply that to predict that being effective against Canelo. I have a tough time just because of the size difference. Okay? But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not the only one to think that that's an obvious problem. We're talking about 21 pounds, man. That's enormous. And no matter who you're talking about, when we're talking about elite fighters, truly great fighters, you know, they all say, man, there's limits in size. That's why we have weight classes. That's why I told this guy here, like, Crawford lifts 400 something pounds and Crawford knocks people out. And yeah, Crawford gets stronger as he moves up in weight. Yo, Crawford start off at 135. A lot of these guys, if they can, they start off at a weight class where they should not be. They stay there for a while, pick up a championship, then they bubble up to the next weight class. Stay there for a while, pick up a championship, bubble up to the next weight class. And by the time they get to that third or fourth weight class, they ain't going up again unless they get an opportunity to fight something that seems to be, I ain't gonna say low risk, but like a moderate risk. Then you may get somebody across 5 weight divisions, but to just think Crawford starting off at 135, I think 154 is good for Crawford. But to think that he can just go from 135 to 140 to 147 to 154 to 160 to 168, I understand he's special. I'm telling you, I think he's special. But I just think going to 168 against Canelo, I have a tough time buying into that. Okay? I just do. But I don't know. We gotta wait and see. Because even Floyd Mayweather knew there was a weight limit for him. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care what you say. Floyd Mayweather had a style that gives any and everyone problems. But even he knew, hey, you're not going to come out here and allow the sport of boxing to retire me. They were trying to force Floyd Mayweather to go fight Triple G. They wanted Floyd to die in that ring. If Floyd would have fought him, I think Floyd would have beat him. I personally do, because of his style. But what happens if the real deal starts, and now Triple G traps Floyd, it starts to bang on him the way McDonald was able to. Let's just be real. That Triple G at that time, Floyd would have been in trouble, and he knew it. He knew the threshold, and he wasn't going to try to push the envelope. But that being said, man, Terence Crawford, Canelo, probably more ideal to have it like at a catch weight. But Canelo's not going nowhere under 168 pounds. He doesn't care. He ain't doing it no more. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like losing weight. That man, it doesn't care the opponent. But I'll tell you what, if they say, hey, Canelo, you fight Terence Crawford, we'll give you 150 million, 100 million. I bet you Canelo will think about that fight. Because Canelo wants to be a billionaire. So that's what it's going to take to make Crawford and Canelo. It's going to take like 100 million, 150 million, something where he just can't say no. I'll tell you what, Floyd Mayweather likes money. Offer Floyd Mayweather $200 million, $250 million, and watch him come back and fight Crawford. You watch. But you just gotta come up with the right number. But it is what it is, man. Last time Canelo fought, I think he fought 160 against Daniel Jacobs, right? And then he was like, yo, I can't do it. I gotta move up. And since then, Canelo's had several fights. 168, a couple at 175. And, when you look at Crawford, that's a pretty big deal because Crawford never fought over 147. People keep forgetting Crawford's 36, 37, something like that. He's way older than Canelo, like 3-4 years. Come on now, man. We get it that Canelo started his career, when he was like a 15-year-old and 140 pounds and all that. But at the end of the day, Canelo's not going over 168. 168 is just huge for Crawford. You know what I'm saying? It's just huge, man. But we'll see. This 3-fight deal with PBC, I'm not sure what's going on. Looks like Canelo, $100 million. Looks like he probably got paid about $30, $35 million for that Crawford fight. Not sure how much money was made. I mean, for the Charlo fight, not sure how much money was made. Sounds like Charlo made about between 6 and 10 million. I'm thinking he made 20, 25. My understanding is he didn't make nothing close to that. But it's still more than what he would have made fighting Tim Tszyu. So it's a win-win for Jamel. But right now it's looking like Canelo may have to fight next year Benavidez. If Benavidez gets past Demetrius Andre. And that'll probably be more around that Cinco de Mayo weekend. And then after that, he'll fight in September. And who knows who he's going to fight, but he's got 3 fights on the table. 1 out the way, he has 2 more. And we'll see if Canelo continues working with PBC. Who knows? Maybe Crawford gets he's the 3rd fight for Canelo. You just don't know. But I tell you what, for Canelo's like, if Crawford comes up to 168, he'll fight him, but it's got to make sense. But right now, Crawford is not part of Canelo's plans. But I think Crawford realizes that it's going to be tough for him to get a fight with Canelo, because Canelo, if he has to fight David Benavidez, that's a hard fight. And Benavidez has been begging for that fight for years. And Canelo has not been in a rush to get no Benavidez. But we'll see what happens now that they're both on the same side of the road. Jamal Charlo, I don't know. Some people feel that Jamal Charlo versus Canelo, that fight has lost its steam because of how Jamel performed. But Jamal Charlo's the wild card. That could be a good selling point. You know what I'm saying? How they want to pitch the fight to the public. The other twin is coming for family revenge, kind of like what Vitaly Klitschko fought that South African fighter after he had knocked out Vladimir. Corey Saunders, or whatever the hell his name was. So Vitaly getting there, man, and handle business for his brother. So it's interesting. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens, man. Crawford's not done. He's looking at that money. He's looking at retirement. But he ain't just going. I just don't think Crawford would just foolishly jump right to 168. But he may, man. That sounds like what he wants to do. But you gotta properly move up in weight. You know what I'm saying? You got to properly move up in weight. But if Crawford does that, I think Crawford's just looking for the money grab. But I just don't think a $6 or $8 million payday is going to be enough for Terence Crawford to get in that ring with Canelo. Anyway, I think Crawford definitely going to want more than that. More than that, man. But we got to wait and see how things play out. Because, in my opinion, Crawford is very realistic about his age, about dangers of boxing, and hanging around too long. You know, he's doing all right financially now, and he may have a few more fights left, but let me tell you something. When it comes to him and his legacy, Crawford's ambition, but I just think he needs to be careful. Because he's finally got the money, right? Real money now. He finally got the legacy, a serious legacy now. Let's not be like Roy Jones Jr. and hang around too long to where it all gets thrown away. And that's just how I feel. But one thing I will say, man, when you look at a lot of these other sports, there's nothing like boxing. And if the money's there and stars line up, let me tell you something. Canelo and Crawford could happen, but this is going to boil down to that money being there. It is what it is. But I'm a fan of boxing, so I would hope that they can make it happen. But I'm going to tell you right now, like I said, the question really is, forget the weights that Crawford lifts. Forget the wrestling background. Forget all that. If Triple G couldn't hurt Canelo, if Bivol couldn't hurt him, then how's Terence Crawford going to do it? Crawford doesn't throw 60 punches around like Bivol had to do to keep Canelo off him. And Crawford, he can crack. But I feel comfortable saying he doesn't crack like Gennady Golovkin. You know what I'm saying? But Crawford can crack. But if Gennady Golovkin couldn't make Canelo Alvarez take a knee, how is Crawford going to do it? But again, styles make fights, and we know Crawford is super heavy-handed. And maybe Crawford can catch him with something he doesn't see, because those are the shots that do the most damage. You know, and like we always say, the best fighter doesn't win a fight. It's the fighter who boxes the best on that night. And maybe Crawford is the guy who will end up boxing the best on that night, and maybe he'll shock the world and get a win. I don't know. But leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. I'm in the breeze.